everybody! Hi, Angry Sock! By now, most of you have been spending quite a bit of dough on holiday shopping since Black Friday. You know, the day before Thanksgiving. Dough! Ah! Calm down, you silly goose.
If I could get serious for a minute.
Now, as many of you already figured out by reading the title to this video, my current topic has nothing at all to do with spending cash on buying gifts for friends and family, but a whole lot to do with the very definition of holiday spirit. That being said, all of the money in the world can never buy the people I'm about to discuss the things they need most desperately: a conscience, heart, soul, or a shred of dignity. Only introspection will do that. Now, you might have noticed the word explicit is nowhere to be found in the title, description, or keywords of this video. This is due to the need for its message to reach as many people as possible. Although there will be no profanity, there will be a heck of a lot of rage. While I was walking to my car on my way to run errands today, actually after I filmed my most recent video before this one, I noticed a stray cat was staring at me. Sadly, there are several in my hometown, but most are undernourished, emaciated, and absolutely terrified of people. This one was different. Not only unafraid, but also noticeably overweight. Why is this important? Think about it. What is the only reasonable explanation this feline could look so healthy? It used to be a house cat, or still is one, but no collar to be found. Unless it ran out, and the collar somehow came off, some low-life piece of garbage abandoned it. This takes place much more frequently than many of you could possibly imagine. Before you try to convince me this isn't true, please realize I've seen this happen right in front of me 3 times. The first time, I was 8 years old. It was a sunny afternoon, pleasantly warm and peaceful. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, and I were walking only a few blocks from my home. Everything seemed right with the world. Suddenly, I heard an agonized scream that made my heart skip a beat, followed by a sickening thud and squeal of tires simultaneously. Horrified, I asked her what happened. With her look in her eyes I hadn't seen before or since, her explanation would haunt me, and still does, even now. It turned out a middle-aged man was driving with a very tiny kitten as his passenger down the street only a few feet before us. The sicko actually bound all 4 of this defenseless animal's paws and legs together with electrical tape. He opened up his window and threw it at least 50 feet in the air. As you can imagine, the cat died on impact. I wonder if the scar this treacherous act left on my life would have been more or less severe if Grandma would have let me see the victim's remains. This was cold-blooded murder, plain and simple. To take the life of any mammal, unless in self-defense or protection of your property, is only slightly less deplorable than killing a fellow human being. This is why I only feel pity for the family of victims of hunting accidents, unless they too are hunters. Then, good, you deserve to suffer. I'm not even kidding about that. If you have to hunt to survive, that's one thing. But for sport, disgraceful. Now, the second time this happened, I was 18 years old, dorming at a college in New Hampshire. I was staying at a friend's house one weekend who lived in the area, as I had dozens of times that year. Me and two of my closest friends at the time went bar hopping and got home late that Friday night. Slightly inebriated, we saw a man take a collar off his cat and put it on the ground. As he was walking away from it, I realized he was abandoning it. I went into a blind rage and tackled him, jumped on his chest, and began punching his face repeatedly. I later found out he shattered his nose and broke a rib. He was coughing up blood when one of my friends pulled it off him. I found out the next morning this poor guy was a neighbor of my friend, and he had two young children. Although I was concerned he was going to press charges, I never saw or heard from him again after that night. It turns out he was moving with his family to an apartment building that didn't allow pets. He was throwing his cat out and told his kids that it had run away. He advised everyone who asked about what happened that night that he was mugged by somebody who he never got a chance to look at. But I know he saw all three of us. How do I know this? Well, my friend was the one who called the ambulance for him. After we got home that night, we went back to the scene of the crime and stayed with him until the paramedics arrived. He could have still spilled the beans about what really happened at any time. In fact, there was even a police report. We concluded he didn't press charges out of shame. Fear his offspring would never look at him the same way. To be honest, if he was my dad, I would have lost all respect for him once I found out the truth. But, based on his reaction, it's pretty safe to say he learned his lesson. Now, I'll be the first to admit I overreacted that night. I should have kept my composure. But I flashed back to that sunny afternoon with Grandma, the second I saw him abandon the cat, and I realized what was going on. Is that an excuse? No, not even close. But it's the only explanation I could think of. The third time I witnessed a pet abandonment, it happened a couple of years ago. A similar case of a man stepping out of a car and putting his cat on the ground, then driving off. I did what I should have done the second time. Shed a tear, shake my head in disgust, and bring the cat to a local shelter. Now, this is possibly the most heartbreaking part of the story. The shelter told me they don't take in strays. When I asked why not, I was advised it's because of overcrowding and the potential for disease to the animal. I then did what anyone who has no possible way and or desire to care for their pet anymore should do. I called every person I knew until I found out that somebody was finally able to take it in. It took me several days, but it was well worth the effort. If that wouldn't have worked, I would have put ads in the local newspaper, posted on various message boards and websites, and did everything in my power to find it a home. Luckily, this cat was in perfect health. But what if I wasn't there? Now, this holiday season, and any time of year for that matter, if you're in this type of situation, please, do the right thing. Cats, dogs, rabbits, heck, even hamsters and ferrets are able to feel pain and emotion, just like we can. Think about it, please.